From the age of about 16 to 23, I spent a lot of time hiding who I was. I don't know what your experience is with this, but I went from a place where I was that angry, naughty, cheeky child and teenager as well. And I decided that this was bringing up so much conflict in my life that I wanted to switch to being this nice guy, to being someone who doesn't cause much trouble. I wanted to basically escape the situation of conflict. And that led me to the other extreme, being nice. And when you're a nice guy, what you do is really live a lot of your life for other people. You're making sure you're not causing too much trouble for people. And over time, you train yourself. You train yourself to forget who you really are. You forget what's important to you because your default answer is always, I will do what the other person wants to make what I think the other person wants to make them happy. Because that's the truth. We don't know what can make people happy. There's no way to do that. And this is why it's a strategy that didn't work for me, because we spend all this time guessing, trying to figure out what other people want, and then trying to comply to that image. We waste so much energy doing that, and it's impossible to guess anyway. The big change for me happened at university. I had this problem where I was checking my messages constantly, looking for messages from friends, looking for reassurance really that we were still friends, because I had this insecurity from when I'd lost a friend earlier in my life. And the impact of that was a lot of anxiety, a lot of tension in my system, because I was trying to seek validation from this external point, which was always constantly shifting. Friendships are constantly shifting. They're not going to be completely stable. So if we look for inner security from that place, it's just a waste of energy, creates a lot of stress, anxiety for me. And I was really unhappy at that time. But it got to a point, thankfully, where I decided I need to make a change. And what changed for me was putting in place a boundary, which was, if I message someone 3 times and I don't get a response, then it goes over to them. It's their responsibility to organize meeting up. And that boundary saved me so much energy. It was realizing that in this moment, what my internal state is more important than making other people happy. I'm going to drive myself crazy, really, if I keep going on like this. So I set that first boundary. And that was the starting point, really, to my rediscovery of who I am, understanding what matters to me, what my values are, what I want to do with my life, what my goals are, because all these things have been pushed away. Even in relationships at that time in my life, I'd been in a relationship for a long time, and part of that was forgetting what I really wanted in a relationship. I think so many of us as guys, we spend all this time trying to please other people, trying to understand what others want, and it's ultimately a fruitless mission. Once I started setting boundaries a little bit, I developed more self-respect, and by listening to what was going in my body when people treated me badly, maybe when I didn't get what I wanted in a relationship, by trusting my intuition and my experience, I was able to start putting up more boundaries. And often what happens when we set up boundaries, we maybe go too harsh, we maybe go a bit too strong, a bit too forceful with it. But that is part of the process. We go too strong and then we come back to a more of a balanced place that is right for us. So boundaries was one of the first parts. The second part of it was I started developing the confidence to share my honest opinion. And there was a good example of this was at work, at lunch in the staff room, that I allowed myself to talking about pretty meaningless stuff, meaningless news, social media stuff, nothing that really had an impact. And I allowed myself to start in small, small ways, sharing my opinion just a little bit more. I wasn't sharing my full opinion, but I was like, if someone said something that I didn't agree with, I would give a bit of pushback. And that was actually very significant for me, starting to be more honest in all areas of life. When you're nice, fundamentally, this is a dishonest existence, because you push down what you truly believe to give to other people what you think they want to hear from you. So that allowed me to develop honesty, and honesty and integrity is something that has been very important on this journey of reclaiming myself and understanding what I really want from this life. And when I started to be more honest, when I started to listen to my intuition more, then I started developing things like goals, things I actually want to go after. Looking at my life with honesty also unlocked the door for self-improvement because I could see the problems. And if we're a nice guy, we kind of tell everyone else that everything's okay, I'm fine, I'm good, I'm happy. We also start to tell ourselves that all these things. And we have to be honest, there's always going to be areas of our lives that we want to improve. There's always going to be things we may want to change, goals we want to work towards, things that are meaningful for us, things that we're passionate about, that we want to go towards. When we become a nice guy, we ultimately lie to ourselves by telling ourselves everything's fine, we've got exactly what we want. And the funny thing is, obviously, when we're going towards these things, the actual end goal, the achievement, when we set goals for ourselves, this probably isn't the main thing. It's more about the freedom I experience and we experience when we're honest. It's so light, it's so easy when I'm not lying. Life feels so much better, even if I have problems and challenges. To be honest, to say what I think of people, not in a rude way, there's no point doing that, but giving honest feedback on my feelings, on what's going on for me, just allows you to live life with such a greater sense of freedom. You need to have boundaries. You need to be able to stand up for yourself to feel safe in the world. Otherwise, you're always dependent on other people, how they treat you. You have to rely on everyone being kind, nice to you. But when you have boundaries, when you can assert yourself, you build all this self-trust, this confidence, and life ultimately flows a lot easier. I hope this helped. This has been my story of rediscovering who I am by boundaries, by listening to my intuition myself. And being less of a nice guy has helped me build the life that I wanted to. I hope this helped. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.